the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Roll call. Dinah Dumbers, present. Michael Martinez.
Present.
Pam Doobie. Here. Mike Lancioni.
Present.
Rich Young.
Yep.
Joan Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Gunning is running late, I guess. Fire Chief Gary Bendix.
Here.
Police Chief Bob Slukowski.
Here.
Okay. Park Board President Dolly Millick.
Here.
BCA President Matt Bowen. Not here. Ray Dumbers.
Here.
Okay. Building Commissioner Steve Thomas.
Here.
Web Content Manager myself here. Drainage Board. Today the report will be by Ray Dumbers, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, now has everyone had a chance to read the draft minutes that John sent through the other day?
Yes. Yes.
Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Pam, nothing, Rich? All good? Okay, how about you, Michael?
No, I'm good.
No. All right, so I need a motion to accept the minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, second, please.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as read. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All approved.
I need your signature.
Okay.
Who made the motion? I didn't hear you.
I wrote those down for you. It's Michael Martinez and made the motion, and Mike Lancioni seconded. Okay, while John is getting that ready for me to sign, I will now ask if there are any additions or changes to the agenda. Council. Michael, no? Rich? Nothing? Okay, thank you. So we're going to keep the agenda the way it stands. And we can get started on well, we can't get started. We're waiting for John to come.
I don't put the bid openings on here.
I think it was. I think I put it in. It says unfinished business refuse contract opening bids.
They were told it was going to be at 7, according to the
Wait, at 7 what?
7 p.m.
Oh, opening bids? Well, okay, then we can do that now. Thank you. Very good. All right, thank you very much. Well, then that's fine.
Wait a half an hour before.
I didn't realize that. I am good with it. Had someone told me, I would have put it in earlier. So, okay. So we can do, do you have the bids now? The envelopes?
I have the bids, and if you want to keep track of it, I'm going to give you a sheet.
Okay.
And you can keep track of it. Before we do that, I need these signed.
Okay.
We'll try to look you up 3 days from now.
Go.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, the first bid we have is from Recycle Track System.
Recycle what?
Track System.
Recycle track systems, okay.
You mean the track crossing?
Must beg your pardon?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Contractor bid for our refuse service. It's Recycle Track Systems. They're out of New York. Do you have a local?
Yes, we partner locally with Lakeshore Recycling Disposal.
Okay, Lakeshore.
Okay.
Here's Lakeshore. Okay. The
$11.50, that is per container, is that what I'm reading, per container?
Correct.
Second year, $11.76, and the third year, $12.33. They have, did you have a wrong thing here? Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. It says recycle track system can begin work from the town of Michiana Shores pursuant to the bid specifications on April 1st, 2020. RTS has dedicated resources and together with our locally based hauler will work with the town of Michiana Shores to ensure timely and successful rollout of transition equipment and services as we have done in other nearby communities.
So what's the bid amount? Is the toter is $11.50 per house per year?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, so the starting was $11.50, or $11.50, yes, and that
Okay.
includes a brand new can, so it's a 96-gallon can.
96-gallon can, and then what's the per month fee or anything else?
Yep, that's just $11.50, there's no additional fees. That's what per
Okay.
home would be charged.
All right, gotcha.
And then I also included the 3 alternative bids that was asked in the RFP. On the final sheet, I think that there was a few different adjustments, and so I gave those numbers in the back as well.
Joan, for the sake of clarification, do you know, or Rich, do you remember what we're paying right now for this year?
It's 11's up. Yeah, I don't. Okay.
Okay.
Just ask.
Do you know?
11:34.
11:34, okay. Thank you.
Okay, here's the alternative bid request. Weekly pickup, town facilities pickup, but no spring cleanup program and no special container provision. Continuing by bid number 2, that's the second year.
So the first bid was the regular bid, and then it said 3 additional, so I put the specification above, and then the 3 listed below.
One of them, you get 4 alternative bids. One was with no spring cleanup.
Okay.
Oh, and one with spring
With
cleanup.
spring, one with no spring, one that you're gonna run cans 25 feet up the curb.
Okay,
And then you have one for an alternate, for leaf collection as well.
Okay.
Also, it's important.
okay.
Okay, so on your bid, do we know all the alternate prices and
I
everything?
will, if you'll just give me time to get this settled,
All right,
okay?
give us some time, all right.
On first bid, the first bid is what I gave you, and that's the $11.50 per container. That includes 96-gallon cart per home and fulfills any contract specifications, no additional fuel or administration fees. Bid number 2, this includes a 96-gallon cart home and fulfills any contract specs, no additional fuel or administration fees. That's this does not include spring cleanup. $11.25, $11.50 the second year, and $11.76 for the third year. The third bid, weekly pickup, town facilities pickup, but no spring cleanup program, but requires the contractor to return garbage containers to be returned 25 feet back from the street, $15.25 per unit. First year, $15.59 per unit. The second year, and $15.94 per unit for the third year. These are all per month. Fourth bid is curbside leaf collection for curbside pickup in the fall and spring each year. Annual fee, first year, $30,000 for leaf cleanup in spring and fall. Second year, annual fee of $30,000 $675 for leaf cleanup in the spring and fall. Year 3, annual fee $31, $365 for leaf cleanup, spring and fall.
That was 31.
1,003, and what was the rest of it?
$31,365.
Okay.
What do you have here? And it also have their brochure for the town of Michiana, explain their services.
So we also currently service the city of LaPorte, and I put an example in there. We have a town portal that if any citizen wanted to request an additional toter or say that maybe their trash was missed that day, that they can do all of that through the online portal as well, straight to our customer service.
Do you have a phone number? Because we do have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks.
Can you do Village Michiana as well?
Yes, we would do that.
Do you have a customer satisfaction rating or survey you put out at all?
Not that I know off the top of my hand, but I can get something back to you if you'd like that. I have a testimonial from one of the mayors in LaPorte, but not customer.
Current or past?
Current, I believe, yes. We got the bid in a little over a year ago.
Okay.
Okay, that's bid number 1. Let's go to bid number 2.
Did you say there was a performance bond? No, you were.
They didn't want me to begin this very quickly. Unless I'm missing something here.
I don't know why I didn't actually.
On the top, there might be a little tab.
No, I didn't see it. I don't need it now. Okay. This is from Republic Services of Indiana for the town of Michiana Shores. Pricing, alternate number 1 was spring cleanup, $11.80 per unit.
With spring, excuse me, did you say with spring cleanup?
With spring cleanup.
Okay.
Second year, $12.15. Third year, $12.51. Alternate number 2, no spring cleanup, $11.80 per unit for the first year. The second year, $12.15 per unit. The third year, $12.51 per unit. Alternate number 3, cans left 25 feet up the driveway. $14.60 for the first year, $15.04 for the second year, and $15.49 for the third year. And there's no bid for the leaf pickup.
So just to clarify then, so with and without the spring cleanup, it's the same price?
Correct.
Okay.
In the past, I always go through that.
We don't hear exactly what all
Yeah.
donated that.
And I have all the financials of E-Verify and equipment list
Non-inclusion of all that stuff.
and the financials.
Okay.
Look at those. And get a choice of taking it under advisement or.
And you don't provide any kind of leaf pickup then, in other words? You just didn't bid for it, or you don't provide that?
So, in the state of Indiana, is illegal. The governmental landfill, there are some alternate locations that we don't take it to.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
They have to go to special.
you have to do a special thing.
I damn keep you.
That's not something that we do.
Do you want to discuss this later and then make a decision now?
Well, I think we better make the decision, right? I mean, it's been rolling around for more kind of borrowed time right now, right?
And what, John, when is it?
March 30th, 31st.
Yeah.
how many homes do we have here to determine the additional for the leaves?
Well, there's
How many households?
365 homes.
You know?
That's more or less around 345 or 348.
All 350,
Okay.
$100, less than $100 per home.
There's 338 that we have for refuge right now.
338?
338.
Uh-huh.
We have one home being built, possibly another one.
I mean, I don't think we need to act on the leaf side of it tonight, because we probably need to solicit more bids on that, just to
Perhaps, yeah.
vet that out. That might be reasonable, I just said that we don't have any bids on it, so.
Any issue with that?
No issue with that, no.
That if we wanted to add it, the price would remain the same?
It would remain the same, so it would just be in addition to what the trash pickup would be. But I just divided it, if it was filled out for the 366, I believe you just said, it was $7.39 a month, if you did it in addition to the month, but absolutely, there's no problem with both of them.
How many homes did you use?
Yeah, basically for the year.
I think the 365 that you just mentioned.
There's 338, maybe 340, but the other.
Some more, yeah,
So-
a little bit more.
So by my math and my assessment of both the bids, the difference in the cost is $3.60 per year per household, right? And it's to make a change. So if we change, if we want every resident to have to change their can and switch, which is totally doable, and go with another firm, everybody would save $3.60. But you got to monkey around switching your can, and then you have to, it takes a little bit to get the route reestablished and known by the new drivers. I mean, Republic's been handling it for how many years, Rich, or Joe?
A lot.
Long time.
So, I mean, that's the question that's in front of us then. Is it worth $3.60 to make a change on it?
You-
Asked, the one question that's always been discussed as well is, kind of come back and forth, which is running up driveways too, is something people looked at, the out of towns on the weekends and putting the cans up 25 feet and that's actually cheaper running on 75 cents, but that's not.
Sure.
In the future.
And the only other thing I would look at is the annual increases, because the following year is up to $12.15, where our following year is only $11.76. So within the 3-year span, we definitely increase much less.
Same increase, 3%.
I would be against paying for the cans to be brought back. We're talking about, I'm assuming your charges are for all of the houses.
Absolutely.
And a third of us live here, right?
I don't know if it's a third, but 25% live here full time. There's others who claim full time, but they, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any benefit in that either.
And 25 feet from some of these driveways are still going to be very, it's another
Well, some of the,
ordinance that we have that we don't really enforce.
but some of the driveways on Lakeshore Drive are pretty steep.
Well, then everybody's recycling can's still gonna be there, so what's the difference? Yeah, so I agree, Rich, personally, I don't see any benefit. in
Okay,
doing
so
that.
we're not doing the alternate, but what are we going to do about the spring cleanup? Do you need a container for spring cleanup?
Well, last year we decided not to do the container, correct, for spring cleanup because it was mostly filled with contractors' waste rather than citizen waste.
Everybody that's in the area that knew we had a container. So they threw everything in it, even though we put signs out saying certain things couldn't go in there.
We've always donated that, we always do that.
Yeah, I know you did.
Well, it's not the benefits of Jeff here. I mean, are we obligated to go with low bid, or are we able to go with best value or consistency?
Well, it looks like we're down to with the no spring cleanup, right?
Which all we're talking about is a container, right?
It's a container.
So if we wanted to do that, whether it's in a contract for that, I'm sure they would provide us one if we
The difference
decided then.
The difference between year 2, the $11 1180 for Republic and 1176 for RTS. We're talking 4 cents, right?
That's our first year with their, our second year. So their second year was $12.15
Right, $12.15.
compared to our $11.76. Yes.
Which is that, what you're talking about,
The no spring cleanup. The first year with the cleanup was $11.80 for Republic Services, and recycled track systems was $11.50. We're talking 30 cents difference there. So,
Well, in the past 3 years, I'll just throw this out, we have renewed with Republic with no increase. They were very good about that. They, are you Jim?
I'm not Jimmy, I'm Doug Rosenbaum, I'm the general manager. So Jim is actually in another bid opening that we have in another community right now.
Anyway, they were very generous, or willing to renew, and I'm sure the main reason is the gas prices, it's such a
There's
big.
usually lots of reasons in the past, that from a cost standpoint, they want to justify on the town one, that's something that we always consider year after year.
Well, I mean, my opinion, and Rich, you've been involved in this refuse contract longer, I mean, my opinion would be to just stay with Republic, just for consistency. Both bids are good, I'm sure both would do a fine job, but it would take a little while to ramp up. A month, let's just say, to get up to speed, and that would be an inconvenience for folks to have to juggle the cans around, and wait for the new can, get that, replace the old can, and for $3.60 or $4, I'll pay for a whole block if you want. I mean, I don't really care, not that big of a deal. People are paying, having to switch the can. So that's where I'm at.
I agree.
On
Rich,
the other
any comments?
side, I would say that I live right across the street from Michigan, and Lakeside is very good about, they're very prompt, they're very early, as a matter of fact, when they do it right across the street. And I have heard no complaints from people we know on the Michigan side, but
And one more thing to add to that is it is a local company that we use here, so supporting local, and then also we give brand new cans as well. So if anyone has, a broken lid or anything, that would be addressed with getting a brand new can.
Right.
We do that already,
But I don't think, Rich, if you're aware of any problems we've had with Republic at all, really?
like I said, they're very cooperative, and
Yep.
a lot of us know our local pickup guy very well.
Yeah, and they know us.
Same guy that's doing it, we've been doing it for about 6 years.
Well, the nice thing is that if you could forget to drag it out or open it up, or it's farther up the driveway and they know that you live there, they'll stop and literally get out of the truck, move it over, because they know you're there.
It's been the same guy for a long time.
Ready to decide that?
Very nice.
What do you think?
Well,
All right, any questions on your side?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. So then
I
I
would
would,
like to give them both a chance, but you can't do that.
Well, we might be,
Business is great.
we'll do it for the leaf pickup, because we definitely need somebody for leaf pickup.
yeah,
Well,
okay, so I need a motion then, if we're ready to make a decision.
I move that we go ahead and retain Republic Services with your bids that Joan shared for renewal.
Okay, a second?
I'll second it.
They are both at 3 years.
We're both for 3 years, and that's without the spring cleanup, correct? That's what you want. Okay.
Pricing is the same for either one, so.
Okay, so in case we needed or decided to change that up for the cleanup?
Get that for free. They're doing it for free for
Okay.
15 years. so-
All right. Sub Republic, and I need a second for this motion, okay? Michael Martinez seconds this motion. So Michael Lancioni moved to accept the Republic bid. Michael Martinez seconded the motion. I need a vote. All in favor? Aye. Okay, all opposed? Nothing, so 5 votes for accepting Republic's bid for refuse removal. Thank you to both who gave the bids, thank you very much,
Thank
okay?
you very much.
Couple of business cards that
Oh, very good.
And we'll be in touch
Thank you.
on the lease, and you would understand if you need to change your bid then, if you had that with the other side of the business, that's understandable, but you know, maybe there's synergy with Michiana on the lease side, we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
do that.
Okay.
I like
Okay.
the business card as well.
Yeah,
Thank you for getting the bid.
I won't be back. This is the third time I've come, I've been a little bit. I'm here to save you guys money, and if you're not looking for it, you can pay them whatever you want next time. Because that's what they're gonna do. I'm the only guy here to compete with them. You're gonna pay the piper. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
do better after that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Always interesting.
Thank you,
There we go. Okay, so moving on. We will move into, if we can, Joni, I'm not sure if we're ready.
I'm not ready.
Okay.
Back to job descriptions.
We will be, I'm giving a little report on that. And then Joan's other reports.
Which one you want to start with?
We are at the job descriptions. Is there anything that you would like to report on the job descriptions committee?
On the job descriptions, I'm presently working on getting them all typed up. And then the next step would be to go ahead and talk to the people that are in those positions. And that's about, and there will be a yearly evaluation for each employee.
Once the job descriptions are in place, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
hopefully soon.
All right, now will this job descriptions, will these need to go before the town council? Or this is a task that's just being done through the clerk
It's usually
treasurer's?
done by the HR department, who right now me.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Joan, for the report.
Okay, and then clerk treasurer's report.
Yes.
Okay. While I'm looking for that, I want to remind the people that the
Or to complete your paperwork.
employees withholding exemption, and I need one from you too, Bob. You have to do a new one. First one is going to be for the additional vouchers for February. While you're circulating them, I'm going to read them. For NIPSCO is coming $202.28 for everything, the water, the electric, the gas. Oh, for the lights, our street lights.
Okay.
And AT&T, $160.39. That's for the telephone. And JP Morgan Chase, $1,043.73. And that is for, they did analysis on us last year for the whole year. They keep track of it, make sure we don't have fraud and all this other things. And then that's been changed as of January 1st. We no longer pay the fee, we're in a different
Category.
program.
Okay.
AIM, which is one of the programs we belong to, and this is for ADA, $25. Chase Card Services, $1,110.15 for the new computer and monitor for my office, which was approved 6 months ago.
Okay, thank you.
think so.
I'm sorry?
Did you vote on?
I'll make a motion that we approve the additional February bill.
Thank you.
All right, Michiana moved to accept, to approve. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Pam Doobie seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay. All opposed? Any opposed? No? Okay. Everybody has approved the expenditures.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on the vouchers for, as what we have as of January, from January, March 10th, AE Voice, they're the ones that do our software system, $1,440 for the payroll, $1,440 for the fund, which is our financial fund, and $2,390 for updates and maintenance for billing, and that's billing for our refuse. And for the volunteer fire department, $3,471 for the services that we get, and then for the rental, $105. Long Beach Police for police protection, $4,735. Refuse service, $3,667.20. Notice for public hearing for short-term rentals, $27.41. Cash and investment report, $46.71. Notice for invitation of bids, $54.48. Notice of public hearing for the 2020 comprehensive plan hearing, $23.88. March 2020 for Department of Water, $9.40 for Kincaid Park, and $9.49 for the garage. For Brenda travel back and forth to the post office and bank, $31.32. Office supplies, we had to buy a toner, $91.89. And the membership due for for the year is $50. Comcast, $79.69 for a grand total of $17,672.56. And each one of you have a great one and you have a son.
Okay, thank you. Now, do I have a motion to accept these expenditures? Do we need to vote on this one too?
Yeah,
Yes, we do.
vote on all of them.
Okay, there we go.
I'll make a motion to accept,
Okay.
and thank you for the breakdown.
Martinez moved to accept.
Second.
Rich Young seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? All approved? The accounts payable for March.
Correct.
Okay.
And also, one of the things that I need is the CCG grant final report, and that includes everything. From the day the grant was requested, the grant was awarded, grant agreement, bids, contractor selection, contractor award contract, request for payment, and administrator's summary. You have to write up something for administrator's summary.
Okay.
I forward you everything that I've gotten. Don't shake your head no, because I've got copies.
It's not up to me to do the report. You are the
I did the
administrator.
report. Every time I tried to forward you copies of stuff, you send it back and says, I do not need this.
I did not say I do not need
I've
this.
got
I
copies
never
of it.
say that.
I've got
I
copies.
never say that. Come on.
Okay, then,
You're the administrator, and it's just like I, with the ones for the DNR. I'm the one that has to do the report.
Okay.
And you have to do the report of everything you turned in.
all right, thank you, John.
That's a federal and state.
Okay, that's
Bob, can you then please resend all of those
Don't-
Okay, and
No, I want it to
No.
come in a report.
oh, in one report, okay.
In a
Please
report.
put in a report, and when you send it through, please send to, the report to Joan and copy me too as well, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
If you want some idea what has to be turned in, I can show you some of the reports that I've had to do.
All right, thank you very much, Joan, for those. Now, we had put in an annual appointments of Commissioners Council, return to the Park Board, but we're going to move that aside because there was a chance that somebody may be resigning, but that may not take place. So, we are going to just set that aside for the next meeting. Now, we do have to complete something with Mr. Gunning when he comes here, so I guess we're going to put that up until he's here. And then I had code enforcement officer, just a small, we can do a small discussion on that now, or do you want to do that under new business? We can move that farther down. Okay, so, do you want to tell us something about that?
Yeah, with the help of Mike Mancioni, created a job requirements, very rough draft of the actual code enforcement position, kind of expectation, roles, responsibilities. First draft is passed through the town council members, in which I've got feedback, at which point it's now making its way through the committee for job description, as we mentioned earlier. So we're hoping once that it's passed that second pass and review, we'll have the final copy of which we'll share with everyone here at the next meeting, and obviously get some feedback from Bob as well, Sokowski as well. So the biggest reason for this is not to jump to the later agenda items is who's going to be enforcing some of these changes with the ordinances that we're proposing. That was one of the biggest opportunities, so we need someone and something in place for people to adhere to, and somebody to actually compare to in terms of qualifications for this role. So there's more to come on that. Again, a rough draft is being circulated within this town council and also the job description committee as well.
All right, thank you. All right, any questions for the council on this?
Anybody wants to?
No? Okay. I'm sorry, Joan, you have what?
I have extras if anybody needs them.
Okay, about the code enforcement. Okay. All right, thank you.
So I guess the question I would have to, we need to post this position with this description to solicit.
Well, as Michael said, that this will go to the job descriptions, committee now.
Right.
And, but that's basically just for review. But we could technically, this is good enough for us to post.
Right.
If we want to post this for somebody to open it up for someone to work. And
Don't you think you'll have to put an hourly wage on it when you post it?
no, because we can discuss that if someone comes in. I mean, generally. Well,
You should have some idea about what the wages are going to be.
well, this would be, since we just listened to financial, information, this might be a good time to find out whether we have any kind of money available to use for this and where this would come from then.
Or if it
That's
needs to be-
true.
When's our budget cycle restart?
Next January, but we do the budget, they start in July.
July.
Right.
Joan, I know you gave me feedback regarding the wage. I think it was $19 or $20 an hour based on kind of similar jobs.
Yes.
Based on that rate, again, is that something that we feel that we can pay at an hourly rate? Or is it too early to tell with the budget still coming up?
It's going to be difficult, but it probably can be put in the budget for next year. To do it this year, we have to do an amended additional appropriations. And I'll have to see, based on our budget this year, what will be left that we can transfer. We do have several, in fact, I'm going to give this to you. We have several different avenues of income. We probably will not be able to get it through our regular tax system. It will probably have to go through either our cell tower or the riverboat. And the cell tower is pretty much set aside for our DNR grants and also for the road grants. Our road grants are going to be a little bit expensive this year in comparison. We only have to pay 25% of it, but we have to pay the contractor full amount before we get reimbursed.
So sort of refresh my memory then, I guess when you're looking at all of these avenues to kind of pull that money from, when do you think you kind of have a better or clearer picture?
That's a good idea. Not till next month.
Well, we can go ahead and post it. We can go ahead and post it at $20 an hour or a flat rate per month, depending upon experience.
We can,
I do not want to have flat rates again, the salary. It's easier to do the hourly rate for payroll. A lot easier.
that's fine.
Because if they're gonna go by month, they're gonna have to turn in a timesheet. We pay quarterly,
That's fine, that's fine.
so it would be a lot better.
Okay, thank you.
But I mean, if we need to, between now and the end of the year, I mean, we might need to scrape some funds from somewhere a little bit. Maybe we have to cap the hours based on whatever
We'll
we're.
need it before you hire somebody so that it can pass, and it takes 2 readings to pass.
Correct.
And it has to be submitted to DLGF and FBOA.
Correct. And then we can budget it though for next year.
Correct, yeah.
But remember, it's ongoing. It's ongoing.
Well, right.
And if some of our funds, like the cell tower is dried up, we're not getting any more from that. And the riverboat,
But this is gonna be the same thing for the leaves.
that's
It's
correct.
the same thing.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, for these we can-
Leaves could be run like our refuse.
Yeah.
We charge the customer.
Yeah.
Every resident would be
Right.
charged whether they use it or not.
But if we increase it to the tax rate to be able to do that, right?
No,
No.
what?
Oh,
It would
Not
just
at
be an
all.
assessment.
Oh, no, it's an
Our
assessment,
tax
yeah.
rate is increased
Yeah.
as high as we can go.
So, no, that would be an assessment.
Yeah, they requested, that's what your CCD is.
Okay.
Yeah, I questioned that several times, and I said, no, we can't do it that way. But we do have some money conceded. But
Okay.
generally, that runs, if you take it out for something else, it's not, you're not gonna have it for every year in the future. You don't wanna get started with someone to enforce the ordinances, then you run out of money.
No, absolutely, true.
And that can happen. That's why we've got a little cushion, that's why prior clerk treasurers have kept a little cushion in here.
Okay. All right, so,
I
as we
have a
post.
question about
Yes,
this
Rich.
code enforcement specialist.
Mm-hmm.
You said you two drew this up?
The two Michaels were working on it, Mike and Michael.
At the end where it says minimum qualifications, one thing I think we want to do is make sure we have somebody close at hand.
I agree.
And I'm not sure.
Nearby resident?
Yeah,
Yes, somebody, yeah.
we've had a lot of problems with people who don't live in town, and you call them when there's an incident going on, and then next thing you know, they're gone.
I agree with Rich, it's a good idea to have somebody local, if we possibly can.
I was also thinking, at one time, Joan will remember, John will remember, we used to have a assistant building inspector.
Correct.
And it could be maybe somebody that also could be an assistant there. If Steve's not available, I think that way.
Right.
Because I see they're gonna possibly be deputized.
But do we have to deputize somebody?
Well, that's not, we don't have to, and as a matter of fact, the chief and I had some correspondence with regards to that earlier today. And this was just a suggestion that had been made at a presentation down in Indianapolis with regards to getting somebody who would then be perhaps received a little bit better by the residents in town, because this person actually has an authority to do something. So they said, and they even went so far as to say, get them a uniform looking kind of a shirt, get them a badge of some kind that literally says what the town wants, and then when they present themselves, this is who I am and this is why I'm here, for those kind of purposes. But, whether it's us authorizing him or whether we get the chief to actually, but chief says he can't do that. So then
I'm
it would
not
be,
gonna deputize somebody that I don't have direct supervision of.
yeah, oh, okay, that makes sense, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
So then it may be something that we just have to appoint and, still get him a badge or something.
Right, give them a badge or.
Yeah. Give him a shirt, give him a
But
badge.
winter time,
Yeah.
getting one of the sweatshirts.
Yeah,
Rich, your point is good, because the only
Yeah, we're gonna remove deputized
The
then.
only thing I would add to that, you gotta be careful, I'm not quite sure the Indiana law would allow us to scrutinize the location of somebody as part of the hiring procedure.
We probably can't, and we can,
That's
when
true.
you advertise, you can advertise you would, you know,
Preferred.
preference will be given to local residents.
There we go, that makes sense. Okay. Now this ad, to post this, we have to put this into the newspaper probably.
Directly, yes.
Yes,
It
so,
has to be on the website if you have a website.
okay, so now, is that something you would prepare, or should we prepare the ad and just present it to you for submitting?
If we're not deputizing him, evidently
No.
the council's gonna be
No.
responsible, so.
Yes.
I think maybe the council should write it up.
Okay, well then I'll take care of writing a document up and then presenting it for,
And
okay, I'll talk
then
to
we
you
can
about it.
have these
Okay.
on, we can have these on file
Yeah.
for anyone who wants it. You don't have to put the whole thing.
Right, okay. Excellent.
I'll add remove the deputized and add the vote.
Excellent, that sounds good. Okay, very good, thank you. All right, so for code enforcement, we will advertise. Thank you very much, all. Let's move on to the next point, departmental reports. And at this time, as we start the departmental reports, I'm just going to add that there are some who submit written reports, which is awesome. Even if it's a short note, doesn't mean it has to be very fancy. But for those who don't have written reports, it would be really great if you would. So in other words, we're making a request that when reports are submitted, that there's something on paper so they can put it into a file and we've got it right there. That way, when next month comes around and someone says, I already told you that or gave you that, we have no problem, because we'll have it in that file. So a written report would be really great.
I
Thank you.
just submit this, I have to read it.
After you read it, that'd be awesome, because I know you've been doing it, so.
So,
All right, please, Chief, please.
before I read my report, I'd like to be involved in the screening process for the person that we hire for the ordinance
Okay.
guy.
All right, thanks for letting us know.
Okay, for the month of February, 138 dispatch calls, there were 71. We drove 3,979 miles. Total hours worked was 723. Overtime was 11 hours. 4 of that was for a department meeting, 4 hours for training, 2 hours for court. Reserves within 24 hours. There's 3 traffic stops, 2 citations, 2 verbal warnings. 1 ordinance violation was checked, 2 alarms for the month. There was no crime reported in February.
Sounds good, thank you. All right, Fire Chief, Gary Bendix, please.
For the month of February, we spent 154.4 hours on training, calls, etc. We had 4 meetings during the month. During the month, we had 5 calls. On 2/2 at 9:07 in the morning was the medical call in Michiana. Then on 2/17 at about 11:30 at night was a structure fire in Turtle Creek that we had called to. On 2:20 was another medical call on Michiana Drive. We had a fire alarm on Choctaw and another medical call on Oakdale on 2/27. Just a reminder, you're having a pancake breakfast May 3rd from 7 to noon. That's all I got.
All right, thank you very much. I for one look forward to the breakfast. So, next, Building Commissioner Steve Thomas, please.
The only thing I've got is that house on number 4, El Portal. I did stop in there a couple weeks ago and spoke with the contractor. He said the last time he worked in town, there wasn't a building inspector working there. So, well, that's about right. Rob Morning, it was in between Rob and myself. So I told him to get with Joan on Friday and that was a couple days back.
Okay. Did he stop in at the office, Joan, do you know? For number 4 El Portal.
Nobody stopped in the offices.
Because he was going to come in that day, which was a Thursday, but you said you had something going on for reports.
I was doing reports. There is no way. The office, the offices are open.
Yeah. Okay, now, Steve, do you happen to have his contact name? Should.
No.
Okay, all right.
Maybe he'll be in tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Then, Park Board, although there's probably not much.
Our first meeting is coming up the end of the month, and we did lose Jean. She wrote me and said that she resigned.
She may not. she may withdraw her resignation. She may resign, may withdraw that, which is why I set aside that section. She called, we spoke before she came.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to call her.
Yeah, so-
Yeah, because I just got my,
Okay, so she may not be leaving, so, we'll hope she doesn't, because she was very valuable, so hopefully she'll stay.
well, she still wanted to water the,
Oh, yes, I know, she said she's going to do that, yeah. Okay, so the part board meeting then will be March 23rd. Okay, thank you, Dolly. Roads, Bob Solkowski.
Total hours of $22 for the month of February. All that was for snow and salt.
Snow and salt. Okay, thank you very much. The Advisory Plan Commission. Now, that would be Howard Jablon, but I asked Ralph to prepare a little bit of something. Do you have anything for us or not?
Well,
Just
I
a
just saw
short.
an email about 2 minutes ago. I
Yeah.
didn't bring my notes, but I might need some help. I tried to remember what we talked about in the meeting. The big things we discussed were the resolution to update the comprehensive plan to include the language surrounding short-term rentals. We had a public comment review period. There was really no comment from the public, two public people there. And that passed through the planning commission. Okay. 6-0. And then we also discussed and reviewed an ordinance to amend the zoning code to allow modifications for short-term rentals. And that was discussed, and we voted on it 6-0 to move ahead. And I think both of those are on the agenda tonight.
Yes.
For review and discussion.
Okay.
Those are the 2 big items that I can remember.
Ralph, can you send me,
Okay.
can you write
All right, well, thank you very much.
English email with that report?
I'll be glad to.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much, then, Ralph. Okay, next we go to BZA. No Matt, so Ray, could you please give us a report?
There was no meeting held in February, and the only thing that I can say is the next meeting is going to be May 21st.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can we just meet in order?
They meet once a quarter, but they will probably have to meet more frequently if everything goes as planned with regards to, the ordinances. So.
Don't say that, or that.
Yes.
The BZA should meet only when it has a case.
Yeah. But they may have to be meeting often, well, not often, but more frequently. Anyway, thank you very much, Ray. White Ditch and Drainage Board, I would have given the report, but Ray went for me today, so I'm going to defer to Ray. Any news?
I went to the 2 o'clock Drainage Board meeting. Different things discussed, but nothing really affecting Michiana Shores or White Ditch.
Okay. Thank you very much. With regards to the website, nothing special to report either. I would like some of you to try to contact me via the email there because I wasn't getting emails. So I contacted now Ralph, have you been getting emails or not? Because I know you use that address. You have, okay. Because I've been getting empty emails and there's nothing there at all in mine. So I contacted the gentleman today to let me know, but he didn't respond by the end of the day. So I don't know why mine is not going through to my Gmail or to my Michiana email, so I get these blank things that come through. So, but that's it for the website. Nothing else new to report. With regards to NERC, which is Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission, I attended their first meeting of the year, and then I attended a special luncheon they had earlier this year, and a lot of the conversation was about the various things that are taking place around us with regards to the beach erosion, and with an effort that was made to try to, bring Governor Holcomb's attention to what's taking place on the entire lakefront, not just for us, but for, all of Indiana's, those 40 miles or so that we have. And then the other issue that, really they talked about was that they have been involved very much in the double track for the South Shore. Although because they are a federally funded organization, they can't put their name up on it, so they have been working in the background on helping push that through, so for that. And then various other, environmental things and highway things and so forth, and for like for instance, we don't actually have any land on Highway 12. However, and they do have funds that can be used even by smaller communities, and if we put ourselves together with other small communities that may need work, we can even get things like street signage, we can get safety things for the town with regards to whether it's lights, stop signs, they were mentioning various different things. And those kind of funds are available to us through NERC, but we have to come up with a reason why and see if we can get our neighboring communities in Indiana, like Dublin Beach, Long Beach, to join in with us to see if we can do something. So, yes, John?
And we have a railroad crossing like at Long Beach.
Oh, that's a very good point. That would be a safety thing.
This is loud.
That's an excellent thought. So that would be something else that we can ask for them. That would be among the safety, things for our town. So that they said that kind of money is available for us to be able to use. And then with regards to even with under the environmental, there's what they call the groundwater issues, and those relate to anywhere where they may have been underground, storage tanks of any kind and so forth. But I don't know whether those were here or in Michiana Park, the ones that we've heard about in the past. But they do handle cleaning up of those kind of things and cleaning up with even filling them up with sand and things like that. But so if we have issues like that, they would help. And so it's another source of potentially getting a few extra dollars for us that, I didn't realize that we could get in the past. So that was to me, that was a valuable meeting. All right, that was it for the NERC meeting. So now we move on to ordinances and resolutions, and Mr. Gunning is not here.
I think we can push that. He's 20 minutes out.
Yeah, he's trying, okay, you checked with him, very good. Okay, so now can we let us move on to the grants. Okay, to number 8, grants. And Joan, what can you tell us with regards to the grants you are handling around White Ditch?
The one for CZ 845, which is the grant for the plan. That grant has been completed, and that was for what we needed to do to get the invasive species out to this area and plant native plants, and that's from Oakdale to the southern end of town, and it's a good-sized area. That plan, like I said, has been completed. I'm working on a final report, and then on the grant for the community crossing grant, that's Bob's, but the 729, which is the redoing the White Ditch Bank from Oakdale to the southern end of town, that's the engineering part of it, and they're doing our specifications, which eventually would be our request for proposal eventually. That's where I am with those grants.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, and Chief, do you have any information for us on the community crossing grant?
The opening of the grant start phase will be July 1st. Right now, I'm getting things together to advertise for the bid process for the next road that we do for
painting here.
Also included with that would be Birchwood, which they didn't give us last year. I'm going to resubmit it this year.
Okay. Thank you.
Bob, do you know those bids have to be open publicly? I just went through the grant thing, and it says they have to be open publicly.
I never said that. All right.
Yeah, I know, we did, I didn't know that. I didn't pay any attention last year because you were the one that was running the grant, but I just went across that.
Okay, okay, thank you. So let's go on to working on some of the other unfinished business. We just did the opening of the bids for the refuse contract. That's done. So I don't know, Mike, if there's anything to address on that point B with the short-term rentals at this point? Or do you want to leave that off for when we discuss the ordinance and resolutions? Okay. Okay, then let's move on to C. Wood or / debris removal from public property. I know that we had issues with regards to work that had supposedly not been completed last fall. So I'm not quite sure where all of that lies because I don't have any kind of agreements, contracts, or anything with regards to that. And I'm going to defer to Rich here because you may know more information about that, the agreement with Mick for removing things. And I know we discussed other removal of other things, and several of us have had calls with regards to the tree that's at 38, across from 3816 Hiawatha, which is that great big oak that had come down. So we need to make some decisions with regards to what has been done and what should be done and how we're going to handle it. Please.
Well, that tree is done, it's gone.
The great big one is gone now?
On Hiawatha, it's gone.
I talked to Mick probably 2 weeks ago, told him that he's got to, because we still owe him for most of that contract that we accepted.
Yeah, the contract was for $4,000, and if you want to know which trees are the ones that...
I think the only one he didn't do is that great big one at the corner of Oakdale and by you, what is that? What do you look?
I know one.
Okay.
But I told Mick just the other day, because I got a call, did people get calls from the guy who lived right?
3816 Hiawatha.
Yeah, yes,
I think his name was Cole Howard or something like that.
Joel.
Joel was his name. I
Joel.
didn't catch his last name.
Yeah.
Anyway, I told him that we were working on it, and then I saw Mick like 3 days ago, and I basically said, because that was a big cleanup, plus he did all that cleanup on El Portal down here
Right.
back in
Near the ditch, yes.
fall. So I told him to switch the cleanups for that big tree. So now if we decide, well, that big tree still has to come down, right, Bob?
Pardon me?
That big tree still has to come down?
I don't know, they can probably wait till the next round.
Anyway, so he probably will be submitting a bill for that contract. But I told him, I just took it on myself, which I think I was directed to do. So he's gonna not, we'll have to hire him again, I guess what I'm saying, if we're gonna take that big tree.
And Rich, just to confirm, the tree that was down at 3816 has been removed as in the last couple days?
Yeah.
Yesterday, okay,
I
very
can
good.
hear him working on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, I did hear the saws, but I didn't know what was going on. Okay, well, thank you very much. Anything else with regards to the trees? What about some of the things that were left over from last fall? Or things that had to be done by, I think it was by, we had agreed by October, the beginning of October, but,
That's what we just talked about.
well, but what will happen with those now going forward if he wasn't finished with
Well, it's
those?
that one tree, and it really
Bob
is.
just said it could
Is it in danger of falling, Bob? I thought it was still alive.
Yeah, part of it, the other ones are needing to come down. They're on that list.
Where were the ones that needed to come down?
I don't know, I don't have the list.
You want a list?
Southeast corner of Powhatan and Oakland. And then the other, Mick said two, you say one, that was on a private property over here, but
Yeah, but it's, the town owns that lot.
Okay,
but we always allocated last 2 or 3 years for money, so we still have
There's
other
some,
money, right?
right, there's still some money in there.
There is a small tree down on the creek, but it's not in the water yet, because the water isn't that high.
That's what the parks are, that's a separate issue.
okay. Are there
There's
any,
always cleanup.
any other questions from the council with regards to the trees or comments? Any?
Somebody want to call him, let him know? I don't know if he's a full-time.
I don't know, I can give them a call too, if I want to, you guys do. So, okay. All right, anything else with regards to those, any kind of debris cleanup like this? Yeah, you have a question now, John?
Yeah, but it's not a question, it's just a statement that we should make sure we replace every tree we cut down. So that we still have the atmosphere we moved here forward. wooded area.
I thank you very much for that, and that actually reminded me, that was another point that was discussed at NERC, that perhaps we could still get 3 trees from them, okay, because they were offering, and they had this reforestation program going on, but I guess the material, either the information didn't reach us or we didn't pay any attention to it. But they still have trees available, and hopefully they'll have them going forward, so I will definitely ask them about that.
That's through DNR, isn't it?
They were working with the DNR, but NERC was implementing, doing work for them too,
Yeah,
so.
DNR.
Okay, so, worth looking into. All right, so that's it on trees. Let's move on to the D, fixing bad road signs. Let's determine a deadline for bad road signs, replacing, putting them up.
All of them?
Well, whatever needs to be fixed up. We're missing, there's some are missing. Some are very short. It looks like, I don't know every street where they're missing, but we could drive around and make a list where they're missing. I know that when I walked last fall, there were places where I went to farther to the west end of town, where I'd walk and I'd look up at the thing and I go, okay, I know I came down this street, so it must be this one, but let's see Cross Street. So I had to go to the next corner just to see what Cross Street was. I would look on my GPS too, to see what it was, but there's some that missing. So, and I know it's a question that several people have asked, that, there's no street sign. Can't name the person and I don't know the streets, but I'm asking because perhaps you might have a list already, Bob.
The list has already been made, the order's been placed, the signs are here, so I'm gonna say midsummer, they should all be done.
They should all be done.
When can we start putting it in, Bob? Can we start
I
when?
think it's a little bit nicer.
Okay. I mean, we can start seeing some tangible progress. That's fine if they're all done by midsummer, but, if we can start doing it here, whether whole.
Pretty nice, so I have to roll.
Okay, well, that's good, great. Okay, thank you. So, and Chief, since you're still here, road patching, what about, I know you spoke about applying for the community crossings grant, but what about various patching, in Michiana Shores?
Plants open up, I can get patched. I can't get patched until the salt launder's off the truck. I can't take the salt launder off until I know we don't get no more snow.
Okay, all right.
On that, Bob,
There's also one on the Oakdale and
what's the status of Michiana Drive, or our responsibility to patch out there?
Ours is
Can
gonna
we
go
do our
I see
side?
it bring the snow the other day, he usually does both, we will share it.
Share it. Yeah,
Okay.
I see there's still some.
yeah.
I got to understand that road patching, last year they cut open to put a sewer for a house across the street on Meadow, and they ran a sewer line alongside the tennis courts, all the way down the block, all the way around Dogwood to Dogwood and Meadow, supposedly. Now, 3 months ago they came and they repaved Dogwood, which is a block long. They left a hole right in front, they took my fence down, they left the pothole. If you drive by, they're driving up onto the right side into the yard, they took the fence down, and when they patched the street, they were literally, you can go and look at it yourselves, literally 13 inches from where they paved in the street. They could have paved that. I don't know if it was in the funds for that, or maybe the people who dug that trench to put that sewer line in are responsible for not patching that correctly.
But now that was an issue, that was not done by Michiana Shores, that was done by either Michigan City who put in the sewer or the engineering firm that put in the sewer. So have you spoken with them?
I'm just trying to say to avoid the town from paying anything. They should go after these people that were digging the street up. Because I know there's a bond, you have to, if you're a contractor, you have to have a bond.
Sure, oh yeah, absolutely.
To repair the street, or 3 months later, if the street collapses.
Super. Please leave us your name and address, okay? So that we can refer to that in the contact number before you go, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, so,
What was that?
H&G plumbing out of report to Grand Sewer.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you.
I'll look at it too.
All right, thank you. Okay, we did code enforcement, we addressed, let's finish up with these quickly and then we can, once Mr. Gunning gets settled, then we can move back to the other. Stop 37, discussions with Michiana. Mike, can you?
Yeah, just
shed any
real
light?
quick, I spoke with the village president in Michiana a couple of weeks ago. And in those discussions, basically, we're talking about shared, our shared space at stop 37. He asked about if we wanted to cost share putting the stairs in at that space this year. And I reminded him, I said, well, that kind of cuts two ways. If you want a cost share on the stairs, which I don't know that it even makes any sense to put stairs in this year if there's any beach or not any beach. But that aside, that means that we also get queried for any matters at stop 37, not just when it's time to pay. And specifically, it was a concern that I heard from others, but also myself, with the encroachment of the boulders that they put in. They're clearly on the public right-of-way on our part of the beach, and the village allowed that. The village just allowed them to do that, didn't seek our opinion. That ship's kind of sailed at this point now. And some up in the very corner on the east side probably is protecting Lakeshore Drive there to some degree with the scour that's in there. But I reminded the village that any decisions at Stop 37 need to be run through Michiana Shores as well. And we reached an agreement on that. And he's going to be in town for the next couple, he's still in Florida, but he'll be in town for the next couple of board meetings that they have. We're going to try to touch base in person on that thing. So.
Who was that?
Oh, you're going to ask me, I think.
Tim Iverson.
Tim Iverson, yeah.
I heard he was retired.
No,
Yeah.
he's still president for another year.
Another year, is it? Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
All right, now, the next part we can put off until after we hear the ordinances and resolutions, then we'll return to new businesses. So let's, new business that is. So let's move back now to point 7, ordinances and resolutions. If, Mr. Gunning is ready for that, okay. We also missed the part where we have to address the contract,
Yes.
your contract, so we can do that before or later or however it works. Thank you. I have copies, I don't need them, I don't know if Pam would like something more rich. For the documents.
That's right, you get all those things, don't you? I forgot about that. This is on all of them. 3 of them.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Madam President, I'll offer to try to quickly read this resolution,
Okay.
20-02.
Okay.
Some of the members of the council have seen this before. Some of you may have had an advance copy, but for anyone who hasn't, this is it all put together. This is titled as Resolution Number 2002, a resolution adopting amendments to the 2016 Comprehensive Plan of the Town of Michiana Shores. And it provides, whereas the Planning Commission for the Town of Michiana Shores did on the 3rd day of March of 2020 hold a legally advertised public hearing to consider adoption of proposed amendment to the Comprehensive Plan for the Town of Michiana Shores. And whereas the Planning Commission did not receive any objection or remonstrance to the amendments at the said public hearing, but discussed, commented upon, and considered the intent and the language of the proposed amendments, and whereas on March 3rd, 2020, after due consideration, the Planning Commission voted to approve and adopt the amendments as proposed and recommends the amendments be approved by and adopted by the Town Council to add them to the comprehensive plan and change the comprehensive plan accordingly. Whereas the acting Plan Commission Secretary and the Plan Commission President did immediately thereafter certify the Plan Commission approval and adoption of the proposed amendment. And whereas the certificate and amendments were transferred and delivered to the clerk of the town, and whereas the Town Council of the Town of Michiana Shores now finds that it is in the best interest of the town to adopt the amendments and amend the comprehensive plan in the manner and the words of the amendments, and in order to promote public health, safety, morals, convenience, order, and general welfare. Now therefore, be it resolved, approved, enacted, and ordered by the majority vote of the members of the Town Council of the Town of Michiana Shores, that the amendments be approved and certified by the Planning Commission, are hereby adopted and enacted and made part of the comprehensive plan for the Town of Michiana Shores, that this resolution and the amendments to the comprehensive plan become immediately effective from and after its passage and approval by the Town Council, that the amendments and changes directed by the amendments become part of the comprehensive plan, and 3, that one copy of the amended version of the comprehensive plan be placed on file in the office of the County Recorder of LaPorte County, Indiana, as required by law. The amendments generally provide a modification to the cover page to acknowledge the contribution made by the sitting Plan Commission, and that the Town Council, and that Chapter 4, dealing with housing, had a new paragraph, and I'll read it in its entirety. While the exact number of Michiana Shores homes being rented short-term on various platforms varies annually as of 2020, the best estimate is that 40 plus or minus homes are actively rented short-term across the community. This equates to a little more than 10% of the current homes. Local efforts to provide for short-term rental, using the abbreviation of STR, Safety and Security Program, has been established to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of all Michiana Shores residents and guests by ensuring short-term rental units are safe for guests, are of a proper size relative to the number of overnight occupants, that all guests are aware of the applicable Michiana Shores ordinances relative to parking, quiet hours, fireworks, and public safety. Michiana Shores is following guidance provided by the state of Indiana in Indiana Code 36-1-24 on STRs. Chapter 5 is to be have a paragraph stricken dealing with a section on economic activity and development, and to add language that provides and reads, for the benefit of all Michiana Shores residents, the establishment of short-term rental STR safety security program will protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents and guests by ensuring short-term rental units are safe for guests, are of proper size relative to the number of overnight occupants, and all guests are aware of the applicable Michiana Shores codes and ordinances relative to parking, quiet hours, fireworks, allowable
Yes, probably, no?
Uses.
Or uses.
uses and public safety. Those words are cut off. This will aid first responders in case of any issues at the property and ensure associated tax revenue generated from this commercial activity flows back to the town. The town of Michiana Shores, acting within all guidelines of the Indiana Code 36-1-24, will require zoning variance approval by the Board of Zoning Appeal per defined town process for any homeowners to obtain a permit for all short-term rentals of secondary residences with an approved zoning variance. That having been read, I'll simply state that the comprehensive plan for the town is the basis for planning, and many units refer to it as the master plan. And the state statutes basically provide that if you're going to amend the zoning code, the purpose and underlying application or expectations are provided for or arise out of the comprehensive plan. So the goal is to amend the comprehensive plan on that basis.
Okay. Any discussion here amongst the council members? No? Okay. Then I will ask for a motion to pass this resolution dealing with an amendment to the 2016 comprehensive plan to address the issue of the short-term rentals in Michiana Shores.
There's two cottages.
Okay, Rich? Okay, Rich moves. Rich Young moved. Who seconds?
I'll second.
Okay. Mike Lancioni seconded. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? None? Okay, motion passes 5-0. To adopt a resolution adopting an amendment to the 2016 comprehensive plan of the town of Michiana Shores.
Who made the motion?
Rich Young moved. And Mike Lancioni seconded.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam President, I think everyone has been provided with a copy of this ordinance, but I can't guarantee it. I have no verification of that. So to ensure that we're all on the same page, or at least the same document, I'm distributing that at the present time.
Okay, now with regards to this, how many signed copies do we need of this?
Two.
Two? Okay.
I got one.
Oh, you do have it? Okay.
She should have two copies of the resolution.
Okay.
This particular ordinance is numbered ordinance 2020-02, titled an ordinance amending the special use provisions of the zoning code of the town of Michiana Shores. This particular ordinance was the subject of Planning Commission action in which they advertised a public hearing, held a public hearing, enacted at least this portion of the proposed ordinance and the proposed notion. This is a zoning code addition that will empower some form of enactment of short-term rental regulations, as has been proposed in ordinance 2020-01, which has been approved on its first reading. And I can read through this quickly.
Is it,
If you would like.
would that be recommended to go through all of it?
I think so, because of its contents, and the state law says we can't pass things just by reference.
Okay.
Since this is the first time it's come before this body, the audience, if they didn't participate at the Planning Commission level, may not understand what it is being.
Then please go ahead.
Okay. The title that I previously announced, it provides, whereas the July 2016 comprehensive plan of the town of Michiana Shores discusses the growing trend of short-term rental of residential properties in terms of the population ratio between permanent residents and summer weekend residents, but does not fully delve into the ownership of residential properties who maintain their full-time residency elsewhere and occasionally make use of Michiana Shores for themselves and rent out the property at other times, as well as those who use the property entirely as rental properties. Whereas the phenomenon along the lake shores of Lake Michigan and statewide would become the topic of litigation in the early 2000s and state legislation in 2013 through 2018, and whereas many incidents of rental of residential properties has resulted in nuisances and public health and safety and police problems in and for the town of Michiana Shores, and whereas in 2020 the town council initiated legislation to avail itself of short-term rental regulations pursuant to the Indiana Public Law 73-2018, and whereas the action makes it necessary to amend the zoning code to make it congruent with the state law and resulting town ordinance creating a short-term rental permit safety and security program. And whereas the Michiana Shores Planning Commission has newly advertised notice of a public hearing on February 21, 2020, and held the advertised public hearing on March 3rd, 2020, to hear public comment on proposed amendments, revisions, and changes to the town zoning ordinance and code. Now therefore be it ordained, adopted, approved, and enacted by the Town Council of the Town of Michiana Shores, the following amendment or addition to the zoning ordinance and the town code of the Town of Michiana Shores as follows. Section 1, the zoning code of the Town of Michiana Shores shall be amended in the following particulars. At section 2-1-3-3, which provides for special uses, it shall be amended to add the following. Section 2-1-3-3A shall be amended to read as follows. There shall be no classes or class or application thereof, nor any particular situation in which this code authorizes special exceptions, continued uses, or conditional uses, except special uses as contemplated by the short-term rental regulation for the Town of Michiana Shores. There is a citation to follow that should be used in future codifications. Section 2 is a standard repeal provision. Section 3 is a standard severability provision, indicating that if any section, clause, phrase, or paragraph of this should be overruled or counted as invalid by a court of law, that remaining provisions will stay in force and effect. Section 4 is the emergency enactment clause. This is a companion action that is to be a companion measure to Ordinance 2020-01, and this is only enabled because of the previous action just taken tonight in Resolution 2020-02, where we changed the terms of the comprehensive plan. So this is now before the council, and it may be considered on its first reading.
Okay. At this point, I would like to invite, members of the town council to ask any questions, express any opinions, as well as present any other kind of information you may have collected with regards to, the implementation of this kind of a zoning. Yes.
Mr. Gunning, I did see a typo. I don't know how impactful that is, signing it. In paragraph 3 from the top, Michiana is misspelled.
Oh, okay.
So again, I don't know if that we can still move forward, but it's a small touch.
Thank you. Any other?
I would just ask that the movement incorporate that correction of spelling in the motion.
Okay. All right.
This is what Ralph mentioned, we discussed in the planning commission meeting. So, Michael, myself, Ralph, all party to this.
Okay.
Big news to us on that, so.
Did you want to share any of the letters at this time?
Well, I think that would be up. Jeff, we do that now, or so I do that when we're talking about 2021?
In as much as this opens the door to the concept of actual short-term regulations and the safety and security program, I think it would be prudent to ask if there's any public comment. If there is not, but it emerges when we continue action.
Right. Well, I'll go ahead then. I mean, so as Jeff continues, for us to discuss movement on this, as we get into discussion on 2020-01, and then working our way to some sort of final path and guidance on short-term rentals. Since this first came up in January at the January council meeting, I've had, and I know verbally and then subsequently in writing, a number of residents reach out and basically provide voice in support of the ordinance 2020-01, which will be discussed here shortly. But to recognize those efforts, folks reaching out, I'm not going to read all of them verbatim, but I did want to read some of them in piecemeal so everybody kind of can understand, and for the video, it's all shared. So, Holly Martinez on Greenwald Avenue said last summer we saw a major shift relative to rentals. Homes that look big enough to hold 2 to 3 people max were housing 12 plus individuals. Parking overflow flooded our already narrow streets, and the volume of noise happening late into the night is unacceptable. We have a letter from Hal Turner on Brookside Drive, 3901. He says, in lieu of banning all short-term rentals, the town council has taken a reasonable approach by providing a process and the parameters by which such short-term rentals will be permitted. I applaud this action and approve of the proposed ordinance. Amy Black on Hokkaido Trail says, I believe in establishing rules governing such rentals, more specifically size limits based on the number of beds and baths. We also have Sam Paxton on Michiana Drive. Sam says we need to pass regulations that will establish stricter rules to manage the process, enforce the regulations, and most importantly, hold homeowners responsible for irresponsible behavior and damages. Alan Murray on Oakland Drive. I've lived in Michiana Shores since 1951 and have watched it evolve from a beautiful, quiet community into a community invaded by non-caring outsiders who view this area as the, quote, Wild West. Thomas and Holly Ratko on Sanders Court. We live on Sanders Court. We have been configured as short-term rentals. One property in particular has been troublesome with large, loud gatherings in the swimming pool behind the house and multiple, often 4 to 5 vehicles on the street most summer weekends. Frank and Mary Zoltan on Michiana Drive. Property directly adjacent to ours at Hiawatha, Michiana is almost exclusively used for weekend rentals. Can testify numerous weekends throughout the year, including New Year's. The renters were absolutely acting in an inappropriate and unlawful manner, intoxicated, and yelling profanities at 2 or 3 in the morning. Samantha Arnold and Andrew Berticini on Greenwald. With the growth of online rental companies that have turned part-time rentals of a family summer cottage into an absentee landlord business, we support the zoning variance and permit requirements as efficient and legal means to ensure the safety and health of our community as well as renters and rental owners. Lori Chacos on Brookside Drive. I believe the ordinance is thoughtfully crafted and addresses the issues of parking, quiet hours, fireworks, and other issues. As the zoning law currently prohibits any other use other than, quote, single-family dwelling, I think it's appropriate for the town council to address short-term rentals that currently exist. Gene Paxton on Michiana Drive. I've noticed since its inception, Airbnb, that garbage on our beach, noise, and vandalism has increased. Rob Squire on Groveland Trail. I have reviewed the proposed new regulations carefully and fully endorse every detail of this proposal. Specifically, I commend the council for tying the number of tenants to the number of bathrooms per rental. Teresa Woniskin on Michiana Drive. I also realize that many of the homes in the area are second homes that owners may wish to offer for rent. I do not consider this to be unreasonable. However, in allowing short-term property rentals, I do expect that there will be explicit, enforceable restrictions and conditions for rental. Mary Squire on Groveland Trail. I'm grateful for this reinvigorated town council is eager to address this growing problem. I am in support of the proposed ordinance. While banning short-term rentals altogether might not be a solution, they certainly cannot be allowed to continue to exist without regulation. Joe and Carol Bernier, right around the corner of the meadow, I believe. We are very much in favor of the limitations on short-term rentals. We just moved here full-time for our retirement and do not want the peace and quiet ruined by loud, rowdy parties and the area destroyed by trash, random acts of violence. Cindy Murray. We're surrounded by at least 10 rentals, many more. Our houses frequently has as many as 10 cars parked out front over the weekends. And then Sonia Lancioni, Sonia's here. Sonia's in support of the regulation, obviously. We also have letters from Jennifer Sierra, Jim Baines, John McDonald, Jerry Wolkowitz, who's in the township over here north of Meadow, Julie Parzan on Angle Drive, Sarah Patton on Groveland, Kathy and Todd Arbor on Powhatan, Ed Sierra on Powhatan, and Bill Lang on Groveland.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
So there's 25 letters in all, and I didn't read them all in detail, as it just kind of left the same thing for
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on the council?
I gotta believe you got some negative feedback, didn't you? Not one? It was about, well, the first year I got on the plan commission and the BZA by default, 12, 13 years ago, the president of the plan at that time, we tried to do a ordinance to control renters. And there were all kinds of people upset, and we ended up going nowhere with it. There were a lot of people. I find it hard to believe nobody.
Well, Rich, I would bring, we're going to talk about it here in a minute, as our ordinances currently stand and the resolution we just passed to modify the comprehensive plan, rentals are not allowed right now. Our codes and ordinances prohibit. So it's not lawful to rent your property as it currently stands. That's why we just passed the resolution.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
saying, I find it hard to believe that there was no negative feedback. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, I will open this for, public comment at this time. Please just be calm as you speak. Your questions or comments may not be answered at this time because it's just a comment section, not a discussion section between the public and the council. So anyway, anybody want to make a comment, please do so now. Go ahead, yes.
3619, every weekend, I have to put up with the noise across the street.
Sir, please give us your name so that you know. Okay, thank you.
Across the street from me, it seems like every weekend, there's a party going on. I have pictures of buses and cars parked up along the street. Dolly Millick, I know you run the park, but there was an instance this summer where there were 13 Jeeps parked in the park. They were having some Jeep, whatever, where all their tops down, tire tracks, and who pays for all of it? All I'm asking is, people have the right to do whatever they want in their house, but when you have, this past weekend, I had a glass of tea on my dining room table, and it was bouncing. That's how loud the music was. I want to know who's going to be in charge of enforcing the rules. I called the police, he drove by, turned around, and I watched him from my front window get out of the car, walk to the house across the street in question, 3618, and he must have rang that doorbell, and he must have not heard it because the music was so loud that he took his flashlight out and pounded. I seen him pound. My question is, who's in charge of enforcing the rules? If you're talking a while back about a code enforcer, there's room to make code enforcement. Stop these people from doing this. Parking on public property is not right. And the noise, it was 9-something at night, and the music was 20-some people, 21 people in an 1,140 square foot home. I don't know if you guys watch TV or anything. Highland Park just passed a thing where they had some rap group in Highland Park. They parked where they blocked streets, reports of shots fired, that the EMTs couldn't access the property because of the blockage of the streets. And they wanted an enforcement like we're doing in town now because they didn't want to get sued by people that were obviously shot and they couldn't get to them in the 3 or 5 minute response time. So I'm just bringing that up.
What street are you on?
3619 Birchwood.
Okay, I know exactly where you're at. Okay, I think we spoke. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. Any other comments out among our public? No? Okay. Yes, Sonia.
I would just say that it's a proposal for safety. And it's public safety, and it's an important proposal in that regard. And you can't really argue against trying to promote safety for the community.
Thank you. And thank you very much. Now, any other questions here amongst my council members? Okay. Well, we have heard some letters, we've heard a few comments, and there was a question, I think Rich was asking about any kind of negative comments. Now, there were some people, I think at the January meeting, if you recall, Rich, who were making some comments. But this was posted on the website that, the public hearing was taking place, it was in the newspaper, so there was ample time for anybody to respond if they wanted to, but they didn't, and even though if they responded, we're still making the decision here. And, we value everybody's opinions and comments, and I have to say that when I walked the streets before the election took place and spoke with the residents here in Michiana, that the overwhelming issue was to control these somehow. I didn't find people telling me that, of course they probably all didn't live here, so I didn't talk to those who wanted to rent their homes out. But the rest, I encountered many who wanted to have some kind of control, so much so I had not realized how bad it was, because our neighbors weren't doing this, and the amount of renting that did take place near us was always for families. They were there for a week, 2 weeks, even up to a month, at one of the homes near us. Otherwise, it was very quiet. So I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that bad. But, so anyway, we started hearing those last year in the town council meetings. And so any other additions to make? So I think we're moving in the right way.
Yeah, just the comment, piggyback off of what you had mentioned, was the main topic for everyone that I talked to. But also, somebody had mentioned safety. When you have that many people in a house, and something starts on fire, this is a volunteer fire department, which means that when a call's made, you have either 1 or 20, you don't know how many people are coming. So when you have that many bodies in the house, it's literally who's going to go in there and save that one person's life, because one person will do it. And then at the end of the day, who's going to come back, kind of to everyone's point, it's going to be the town's fault. We want to distance ourselves from that, and again, we took into consideration a lot of discussions that I've had, that we all had similar, and this is kind of the end effect of it, so really appreciate you guys being upfront and honest with us about it.
Okay, so thank you for that. And unless the council has any other comments to make themselves a discussion, I would like to entertain a motion to accept this short-term rent, this is our zoning ordinance, special use provisions amendment to the zoning code of the town of Michiana Shores, number 2020-02. Motion to accept.
So moved.
Okay.
That's
Okay, Rich Young, seconds.
The correction didn't get changed.
Oh,
Which one? Oh,
with the
Thank you.
note that the Michiana will be changed for spelling.
Okay. With the
Third
correction.
paragraph from the top.
Thank you very much, Michael. Okay, so it has been moved by Mike Lancioni, seconded by Rich Young, to accept this ordinance as written with the correction made to the word Michiana in paragraph 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, ayes carried 5-0. It has been approved on first reading.
Do we want to,
Mike Lancioni made the first motion, Richard Young
do
seconded.
we want to pass it on the second reading by title only?
At this point, I'm going to pass that over to Mr. Gunning because he had a suggestion for the town with regards to this. Okay?
Process.
Mr. Gunning will explain.
I will
Okay.
make the transition to the next item of business by answering that question. And as the council is aware, if an ordinance is to be considered on second reading the same night that it's introduced, it is necessary that there be an equivalent to the suspension of the rules. And all those in attendance are agreeable to that, and then the adoption vote has to be 2/3, which is like 3 1/4. But there's another statute somewhere else in the code that tells us you increase up, so it would require 4 votes to approve. However, the complexities of this undertaking is such that those of you who attended the January meeting might recall that when it was originally introduced as a topic, it was introduced in the form of being ordinance 2020-01, and that was approved on its first reading only. In our efforts to move quickly and treat this with great urgency, we had the effort initiated in the Planning Commission to make a comprehensive plan change at the same time. And you may have noted in the reading of the resolutions and ordinance that the comprehensive plan ad ran in February, and the other ad ran, I think it was February 21st, and the other one ran like on the 27th. And that was because we realized afterward that we had to do a separate ordinance that had to originate in the Planning Commission. So we put that into the hopper at the Planning Commission level. That was presented to you tonight in this particular ordinance. In trying to complete it as quickly as we can, we realized that the litigation that occurred preceding all of this in other communities in Indiana is one of the reasons we had an enforcement problem with the existing prohibition in the ordinance. Because of the development of the use of short-term rentals, we changed the comprehensive plan tonight, became effective, and that process began with the Planning Commission. That opens the door for us to go to the next step, but we can't do it tonight, because if we were to adopt the ordinance 2020-01, which is the actual regulations, that would run afoul of the state law that was put into place that prohibits new types of regulations if it wasn't done by July 1st of 2018, I think. So with that realization in our writing and drafting, it occurred to me that if we don't take the action that I'm about to recommend, we're going to have to return the regulations themselves to the Planning Commission and start the process all over anew, including having them advertise a meeting, hold a public hearing, then write the regulations into the zoning code as a zoning code amendment. So what has just been approved on first reading has completed that process, and we have the ability, and it is therefore my recommendation, that we take the regulatory provisions of ordinance 2020-01, the regulations, and amend them in their entirety into this ordinance, and avail ourselves of the state statute that says that amendment requires it to go back to the Planning Commission. When it arrives at the Planning Commission, they can adopt it, they can ignore it, and if they ignore it, 45 days thereafter, the council can hear it and approve it, or they can refuse to enact the amendment passed back to it by the council. If it refuses to do so, they have an obligation to advise the council that that's their decision, and then the council may enact it. And Councilman, I did not tell you or share with you the detail that if the council approves, or if the Planning Commission, approves it, then it actually becomes law. If they don't approve it, or refuse to and reject the amendment, the council, it comes back to the council and they approve the amendment. If they do nothing with it, then the council can only approve it at the expiration of 45 days. So there's an added step in there that I hadn't previously shared with you. Because of that, and because of the sense of urgency, particularly through the author of this great effort, I would like to recommend that we take a couple steps immediately. And the first is to take ordinance 2020-01 and amend it with the amendments and the changes that have been drafted as an amendment proposal in the copy of the ordinance that's marked up in the right-hand corner as the latest edition. And I'm not locating my copy immediately. And what I'm recommending to the council that you do is that you have the author, have the author go through and note the changes and have a motion that those be made amendments to ordinance 2020-01. When we have amended it to the end of our amendments, then I would ask and recommend that you take the amended ordinance and amend it in its entirety into ordinance 2020-02. So if I use the right terminology, and if you're with me, then I will say that's my recommendation. And the proceeding then would be to have
review the changes.
You review the changes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I can go ahead and do that and review the changes on the latest.
If the chair
Yes,
Okay.
please.
instructs.
Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, we went through that in first reading, but the changes that I have here noted would be to the modification from the original reading, change the term common council to town council of Michiana Shores. That's,
Excuse me just a moment, Mike. Rich and Pam, do you need a copy or do you have copies of this latest edition? You do not have a copy? Then here, please pass that one over there. I could share with you. Does anyone? Okay, thank you.
okay, so that's in paragraph 3. On page 2, in section 4, there is a modification in part 9, and that is the owner of the SDR test. They will not rent the premises to any group or the on-site person of record. The primary renter is less than 25 years old. The previous version had 21 years old. In part 5B, approved permit holders will be issued a high visibility permit that must be placed within clear sight of the roadway, mounted in the window or door for review by town officials and or residents, denoting the property as an approved short-term rental property. The 24-hour contact info must be displayed. And that's 5B. Then on 6A, part 1, the ages are both changed to 25 from 21. In part 10, fireworks use only in accordance with Michiana Shores Code and ordinance and not during quiet hours. In part 20, permits must be displayed as noted in section 5B. Failure to display will count as a citation after 1 warning. In part 7A, under penalties and fines, an owner that rents a short-term rental without obtaining a valid permit is committing a Class C infraction of Indiana law, IC 3612418, and is in direct violation of Michiana Shores ordinance. In Part C, the fine for renting without a valid permit is $2,500 per occurrence, and that's the Class C infraction plus Michiana Shores Code and ordinance violation. Part D, fines will be paid to the town of Michiana Shores. No property can be rented short-term that has outstanding fines unpaid. Included the general provisions as an order of record that were mentioned in the last ordinance, the repeal of conflicting provisions, the severability provision, the emergency enactment clause, and the publication requirements. Included the legislative history, which includes the first reading approval on January 14th, and the amendments containing same provisions on February the 11th. And then include the enactment and adoption dates and signatures by parties. Furthermore, in Appendix 1 on the application, at the bottom of the second page, there's a checkbox for approved permit holders will be issued a high visibility permit. It must be placed within clear sight of the roadway, mounted in the window or door for review by town officials and/or residents denoting the property as an approved short-term rental property. And then under permit application Appendix 1, Part 1, no rentals to any group under the age of 25 without someone older than 25 as the responsible party. Part 10, fireworks use only in accordance with Michiana Shores Code and ordinance and not during quiet hours. And Part 18, notice of citations will be sent to the property owner. If 3 citations are issued, the short-term rental permit is revoked for 12 months. Permits will be automatically revoked for illegal activity of the property. Part 19, residents wishing to report any violations of the above conditions can call the police to file a report and/or have an officer sent to the property, or file a detailed report with the town council, including dates, pictures, and details of the violation, or with any designee of the town council as applicable. These will be reviewed monthly or in a special session with proper notice if serious issues are noted. Part 20, permits must be displayed as noted in Section 5B. Failure to display will count as a citation after 1 warning. And then included in whole, Appendix 2, which is an example of the window permit that will be issued at permit acceptance.
Okay, thank you, Mike. All right, next.
So if there's public comment, you may or may not entertain public comment. After that, or if you choose not to, then I would recommend that a motion be made to amend ordinance 2020-01 to include all of the amendments as announced.
Okay. Any comments, first of all, from our public with regards to the amendments that Mike just read out? Any questions from you? Okay. How about questions and comments from the council members? No? Then in that case, I will call for a motion to accept the amendments as amended for ordinance 2020-01. Okay, to include the ordinance to be amended to include all the amendments as made and read to us now by Mike Manzioni. I need a motion. Okay. I need a second.
Second.
Oop, all right.
Give it Rich.
Okay. Rich seconded, Mike Manzioni moved, Rich Young seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Any nay? Nothing? Okay, motion carries. It has been approved by all. So the motion was made to accept the amendment to the zoning code, to the ordinance 2021 to include the amendments that had been made by the author of the code, Mike Manzioni. Okay? Thank you.
Now, if I may, I'll just note, one of the limitations in the state statute, if we were one of those communities that adopted as a standalone provision, would prohibit a few of the regulations that are in here. But because this is coming in the form of an amendment to the zoning code, we escaped that limitation, which I didn't realize till this afternoon. So, having said that, based on the recommendation that I explained earlier, I would like to now recommend that ordinance 2020-01 as amended be amended into and incorporated into ordinance 2020-02.
Okay, we have to vote on that.
Yes, we will. Well, what do you mean?
Did we already vote on it?
We voted on the other, but already
We haven't
approved.
voted to amend.
But we didn't amend it yet.
This
new
document.
Did we vote, we just voted to amend the other one? We're done with that one? I guess.
We just voted to amend, to include the amendments for 2020-01.
We approved the
And we approved
resolution
those.
to amend the comprehensive plan. We adopted
The zoning.
2020-02 on first reading only. And
Yes.
now we're about to take this latest and put it into
Okay.
2020-02.
All right.
Everybody understand?
Yes, first of all, we accepted all those amendments. Okay, now we are I'm going to call for a motion to include the amendments that had just been approved into the ordinance 2020-02, which has been approved just earlier in this meeting. Is that okay?
Well, we're actually going to move the entirety of the document,
Yes.
not just the amendment.
Yes, the amended document. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should have said the amended document
Yeah.
into ordinance 2020-02.
Did you get all that, John?
No.
I'll move that we move the entirety of the content of ordinance 2020-01 with the amendments into ordinance 2020-02.
I need a second. Okay, Mike Lancioni moved, Michael Martinez seconded. Okay, I call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, the motion has carried, it was approved unanimously. Okay? So now this will be sent to the Plan Commission, correct? Do we need to send it? We're still sending it.
If we were to have merely adopted ordinance 2020-02 in its form on both first and second reading, it would become law. However, because it originated in the Planning Commission as a zone amendment, then we have to follow that procedure. And as I explained earlier, or at least referenced earlier, that procedure requires that there be an advertised public hearing, the public hearing be held, the Planning Commission transmit a certified enactment of some form, which they did, which is the ordinance 2020-02, to this body. This body has now amended that. So according to the statute, it automatically remands back to the Planning Commission. But the statute requires that we, in a written statement, explain the purpose for the amendments or amendment. And so we should include at least 2 or 3 statements that we can reduce to writing and include in that transmittal.
Okay, can this...
There's no formal form for the transmittal.
Right, thank you. So can this letter be written and then shared with you so that you could check the words we use, or should we write this now?
I have 2 statements.
You do have something?
Yeah,
Excellent.
I do have a statement.
Yeah, I can go ahead and read the one I've prepared if we can.
Oh, excellent.
Theoretically. And so here would be that adder that would go to the Plan Commission from what I put together. And just to be clear, I mentioned it earlier, Rich, when you brought up the potential folks that weren't in agreement. The statement is, short-term rentals of any secondary residence is not and has not been a permitted use in Michiana Shores and is a direct violation of law. This is explicitly stated in the current zoning code, Article 2, Chapter 3, Section 2-2-3-11, Part B, Item 10, under tourist homes. The effort underway here will lead to a compromised working solution, allowing for short-term rental of secondary residence as a permitted use in a safe and secure manner consistent with our comprehensive plan. Enacting this as part of our local zoning serves the purpose of amending the prior zoning code, the article I mentioned above, and replacing this with the workable details included in the draft ordinance 2020-01 and now incorporated into 2020-02. This is consistent with Indiana code.
Mr. Gunning?
May I have a copy of that?
So, thank you very much.
And
Mike?
if I can ask through the chair.
Please.
Is that equivalent to or roughly the same statement that we discussed earlier?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, then I would just have two additional. One is, whereas the council seeks to implement the regulation of short-term rentals set out in ordinance 2020-01, and is desirable to have ordinance 2020-02 amended to incorporate the latest revised version of ordinance 2020-01 as part of the amendment to the proposal embodied in the ordinance 2020-01 as enacted for 2020-02 as part of the amendment in proper form to the town zoning code. Apologize for the wordiness. And that the title and reference of or to short-term rental regulations can be also known as short-term rental safety and security program and or STR, thank you. And so your statement and those two statements, one I have in writing and the other I had typed out, should be part of the communication that the Plan Commission receives.
Okay. So thank you very much, for that. So
that should be formally moved.
Okay, for this letter, to accept this letter.
To have those three statements be the writing.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve that these three writings would be, put together into the one document that we will be submitted to the Plan Commission. For this letter. Okay, Rich? Okay, Michael Martinez, motion. Okay, Jim. Seconded by Michael Martinez. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Okay, thank you. Now, Mike, you do have a copy of that, which you wrote, correct? And Mr. Gunning, can you send us a copy, or we're going to need to get it from Jones or make a photocopy? Okay. To put it into one.
Either Joan or I will prepare that.
Okay, very
good. I'll get that to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Okay.
If that's what you're anticipating.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that would be all the recommendations that I have. Other members have any other inquiries or action to take on either or?
I think this is it for the ordinances. Do you have any other questions or comments?
Two quick comments on this. So, number one, Jeff, you and I discussed this. I mean, for folks desiring to rent their property, I mean, basically, it's not allowed. It's never been allowed for our ordinances. And we're working to try to figure out a pathway that would allow it with guidelines that we've discussed. That said, the process will require those homeowners to file for a BZA, a Board of Zoning Appeal. We could go ahead and notify them that that would be forthcoming and that, they're not allowed to rent right now, and that they may want to go ahead and get in queue for the zoning appeal here in April or May, whatever they want to do there. So I would offer that we probably should start that notification. There's no harm in doing that.
Any problems with starting notification?
Yeah, there would be no harm in doing that. That would be the only form of relief for somebody that wanted to engage in this in a lawful fashion.
Right.
There's no guarantee that they're going to get it because the system sends them to the Board of Zoning Appeals for their review, which is very strict. The standards are very high. The BZA must consider the effect on adjacent and adjoining properties. In fact, the law requires that BZA process be one where the immediately adjacent property owners are notified of the hearing and that legal ads be published.
For each event, for each person?
That's all under our system to the cost of the applicant.
Okay.
So no, it would be no harm in that.
The second comment, I think we have a problem with the date on the next plan commission meeting because I don't think we're going to have a quorum at that meeting. So I would offer that we might want to consider changing the date.
Well, you have 5 here right now, so you can check with these 5, or 4 of you are here now.
But I think you might want to move it to the same Tuesday, to do it earlier in the evening, the 14th, which is our...
But that's to do it the same day as the town council meeting.
To do it earlier. Because a lot of people are going to be out of town for, well, supposedly, unless the zombie apocalypse happens, spring break or associated vacations.
Well, then check with the plan commission. You've got several members here, so you discuss it with them because it wouldn't come from us. It would be a plan commission determination. Ray and Ralph?
Yeah, look, I think
14th at 5 o'clock. I'll bring pizza, Ray.
Oh, and children.
No.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay. Well, Ray, they're waiting for you to say something. Or you're checking your other calendar. Okay, gotcha.
Because I know Howard's going to be gone too, and Michael will be gone. So do we have to publish that then, Joan, that the date will be changed?
I don't know about publishing it.
We'll post it on the website. We'll put it out on the board.
14th at 5.
And the board, it can be posted on the
website, yeah. To move, plan, see, meetings, 2:14.
We have a meeting on Wednesdays.
Cool.
Well, you just, it probably won't be a problem. One time.
Do what, Rick?
Clear through the air.
Oh, to find out if anything's going on earlier during the day. Okay. Pending approval from fire department.
Unless you cancel the week before, right? You want to let them know.
Right. I'll reach out to Gary and...
Okay, very good.
And then I'll see if you can post it on the website.
Very good. Okay, Ray?
I think so.
You can arrange it so your calendar was empty. I checked your calendar today.
Then why are you asking?
I mean,
Yeah, take care of that later.
Okay, the answer is yes.
all right, thank you. So let us finish up with the resolutions. We still have D, a resolution 2020-03, resolution approving revised building permit application forms. So that was handled in the Plan Commission. They've sent it to us.
Either one stuck together or they're going to share. So,
okay.
This resolution was put into a resolution. In the past, we typically have not approved forms in this formal manner. However, we have approved forms to a lesser extent either by order or just by a motion and an entry into the meeting minutes because this originated as part of the compliance plan for an audit or examination statement issued by the State Board of Accounts to show our compliance. I've recommended that it be put into a resolution form. I think everyone has seen a copy of the amended building permit application. As the resolution notes, it went through the Planning Commission approval on the date that was noted there. The majority of the members approved it. Before the approval, it was discussed and explained, and the resolution notes that the building commissioner was present for that, and that's the person that primarily uses the form. So I would recommend and request that Resolution 2020-03 be approved tonight.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve Resolution 2020-03, approving revised building permit application form for the town of Michiana Shores. I need someone to move this.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2020-03.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Thank you, Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So it has been approved unanimously. So resolution number 2020-03 has been approved to revise the building permit application form for the town of Michiana Shores.
We have two copies, and one of those actually has the permit forms. But I think everyone is aware of what the specific fields are.
Yes. Thank you, good night.
What?
Okay, here we go. Okay, so while that's being signed, we can quickly move on to the next, and we will try to wrap up some of these things that are under here. I don't know if we can perhaps, address later on. We heard about Stop 37. We know BZA is going to, it's mentioned several places, will be more active. One question quickly maybe we can address is the old Grand Beach Road tree stumps, and I think we need to be in touch with Michigan City or the railroad with regards to that. Michigan City put them down. So to do that, so I will reach out to someone to see if we can get that taken care of. The next question that had been raised was the potentially moving one of the two signs that is out near the firehouse, near the garage. One of which is the town sign that lists events that take place, and the other one is the Boy Scout road map, or it was initially done by a Boy Scout. The road map that shows Michiana Shores. The road map does need repainting. We know that the park board had been considering various ways to do this, but the thought did come up that perhaps one of those signs should be moved to make sure that both signs can be better seen. So we can move this to the next agenda, perhaps, to do this, okay? All right, move to next month. Then, okay, we've got next month.
What's the idea?
I'm sorry?
Do you have where you want to move it? You keep it the same location?
Well, move that, one or the other might have to be moved. We're going to discuss it next time. We're not going to do it now. Okay, so we're just going to move that agenda item over so that we can get to attorney report and then to take care of what we had missed back in 5D. We needed to sign Mr. Gunning's agreement. The temporary contract, correct? Or your reports. Would you like to do the reports first or your contract? We have to do all of those, so you tell us where you want to start.
If I could do the report, I'll start there.
Excellent, okay.
Some of you may have this. Maybe not you have this. This is a copy of the motion for an enlargement of time to answer the affirmative defenses, potential counterclaims in the Uriga litigation. And I share that with you to indicate that I had also written a letter that opens the topic of a potential settlement of that case in lieu of the time, effort, energy, and expenditures associated with filing an answer and continuing to litigate the case in its entirety. The motion includes at least 2 deficiencies on the part of the defendant in the posture of the case. But the letter more fully sets out a status statement, because that letter also communicates the notion of opening up settlement negotiations. I choose at the moment to treat that as a confidential and privileged document, although I have shared it already with the council president and the clerk treasurer. Apart from this meeting, I may issue that to the balance of the council members. I did have a call from the opposing attorney, I think 2 days after I sent the letter to him, in which, and I think that was two days after the date of the filing on the motion, and had a voicemail message where he indicated that he would be willing to enter into negotiations, or at least discuss the concept of a settlement. I'll also report that the court entered the order granting the enlargement, which included the notation that the court was aware that there may be settlement entertained or negotiations entertained, and that there was some outstanding discovery activity involved in that particular case. So the agenda says, or my copy says, action requested, nothing further is requested or required at this time. And I think in the litigation against the Water Authority or the Village of Michiana, Michigan, that we agreed just to gather some more information. I have recovered one of the last drafts of the demand that we were going to send to them. So I'll get that also issued to the council members. And you can use that in any consideration of future endeavors with regard to that.
Okay.
I did want to mention that this week the census forms will be coming out, and I think everybody appreciates the importance that they have, certainly the cities and towns, because the head count and the count of developed lots and residences contributes to the allocation of funds for monies. It's also important to residents because that information, while it is not to be used by other agencies, generally is used for the enhanced 911 communications. So it becomes a public safety tool from that perspective, and I think that's the only other shared use of that information. And then lastly, we're probably all aware of the notion that after a certain number of years, and I think it's counted as a generation, the number may be 72 or maybe older, then those records become available, so people trying to trace their ancestry find that to be of particular use and information. And occasionally it becomes prime evidence in probate cases where there's big estates that either have gotten lost or are after discovered properties. So I just wanted to mention that and encourage the public to be sure to do what's required by that. And I think there's some online completion available this year. If you don't complete the census that comes to you or follow up on the notification that you receive, then theoretically you'll get a census worker knocking on your door. The last announcement may already have been made, and that was just to remind everybody that early voting will begin, I think, on April 7th. So then that would complete my report. I'll go back to the item that was skipped with regard to the attorney contract. At the last meeting, I noted for the board that the council had extended an opportunity to extend the existing contract and its terms for 6 months, which I declined, but I did indicate that I would extend that for 3 months, and if the council was willing, that we would have to put that in writing. I indicated that I would do that just by a letter extension that I do not have with me tonight, and council authorized the council president to sign that. I'll sign it, of course. We still have to meet the silly legal requirement that says I have to provide an affidavit about the registration for, immigrant verification for any employees that I may have in the future or have presently. I have announced to the council president that I will be resigning as town attorney, and so I have a letter to do that. The existing contract that was extended was for a 3-month time period covering January, February, and March. And it provides, as all the contracts have provided, that either party may end the contract and the arrangement and the agreement with the proviso that there's 30 days. That's kind of a false provision because the council can remove a town attorney anytime that it wishes, despite the fact that that's a provision of the contract. But it does work both ways, more so for myself as the town attorney. So with this letter that I tendered, that would mean the termination comes on April 10th of this year. I note in the letter that attorney services for existing litigation, which we only have one, but if any come into existence between now and April 10th, the attorney ethics rules and other provisos of trial rules would provide that I could not leave such a case unless a successor attorney appeared in that case, or if that did not happen and circumstances required me to pursue that, I could only do so if I had leave of court. So there's no circumstance in the litigation area that the town would be left without representation. I note briefly that I have enjoyed my time in service for the town. That's principally because of the people that are involved. And this letter was to facilitate the notice and doesn't really speak the true feelings that I have, but I enjoyed working with everybody. And I did note, and I didn't realize how the calendar fell.
I was going to ask though, that was in my mind too.
And
can we change your date to April?
one of the real reasons that that I've chosen to do this, even though I've been, at this time, even though I've been contemplating it literally for years now, is because I understand that the town's resources are locked in with their ability to pay legal counsel. And I've kind of ignored that reality. So I've done a lot of work that technically under the contract would say that I should have been billing at the hourly rate stated in the contract, and there's like 3 different tiers. One is for a minimal amount of appearances at meetings, BZA, Planning Commission, Town Council. The other tier is what I refer to as project work. So that the big projects, and I would assert that the effort that we sped through at record speed to amend the planning ordinances and planning code is one that typically I would assign to as a major project that I would keep time and then bill accordingly. And I just reached the point where I'm no longer economically able to do that. So that was, the basis on which I did that. Noting your question about the shortfall and not wanting to leave you in the lurch to the date of the next meeting, which would be the 14th. And I have not done my taxes yet, and that's another reason why I've decided to resign, because I get to tax time every year and say, this year is going to be different. It doesn't matter how much work or how much business or new things come up with the town. I'm going to get the taxes done early, and then I'm usually in the last week. What I would like to propose is that I'd stay on and work through April 14th, which is the council meeting night. And again, I apologize, I didn't realize that.
And hopefully the plan commission meeting the same day. They would start that early, right before the...
Oh, okay, was that the...
Yeah, that was what they suggested.
What I'd like to propose, and I say this partly was suggested from my spouse, was that theoretically, I think the resignation being effective on April 10th would each count the number of days and divide what is referred to as a retainer or a stipend amount of $500 per month. I think would net like $160 or something like that. I would like to propose that I'll work after the 10th through the 14th would be compensated by the remainder of the $500 stipend. So that part won't affect the budget, but any excess then be billed at the hourly rate that's in the contract, which is either $90 or $100.
Council members, any comment? Agreeable? Okay. I asked the council members if they were agreeable to that, and I think that they are. Okay.
Okay, if you would vote on that. So
Okay.
it's in the record.
All right, so I need a motion that will state that we will pay Mr. Gunning for the work that he will need to do by extending his work for us to the 14th by the hourly rate that's already agreed upon in previous agreements, right?
Perfect.
Okay, so I need a motion from somebody to approve that. Mike Lancioni, second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I thank you. Motion carries, all approved. At this moment, I would like to say that I was sorry to hear that you are resigning. It was a surprise. I thought that you were going to stay with us at least for longer. I know that we put everybody on notice that we're going to be talking and things like this, all of the committee chairs and so forth. But we're sorry to hear that you have decided. We understand that, our personal lives and situations must direct what we have to do. Okay.
I would like to also probably extend a thank you and understand that this is something you have to do. But for all of the past members that were here, I think most of them got along with you, and I know I can speak for several of them, so wish you luck.
Yes, going forward. So, that was sort of a low point here, but I know everybody's anxious to go home. So unless you have public comments, or if the council has more comments to make, nobody wants to talk, right? That's what I thought too. So does anybody have comments? Public comments? Any council comments? No? Okay. So I thank everyone for being here, and I will call for someone to move to adjourn our meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, two, okay. I'll give it to Mike Lance and Mark Martinez this time. Second? All right. All right, the second, and all in favor of finishing our meeting? I'm assuming aye. Okay, good. We approve, and I call our meeting adjourned at, what time is this? 9:38.